Right, what is going on, guys, and welcome to my full day of eating video. This is also going to be a how to prep your food video as well. Obviously, we're starting it in my kitchen. This is not a video to be like, this is how you should do it, this is how you should eat, but this is how I eat. This is how I over the years have found out to be the most time efficient and enjoyable way to kind of eat and still achieve my kind of bodybuilding goals. Obviously, I do this very, very seriously. I'm just obviously starting contest prep at the moment, so I probably take this a lot more seriously than a lot of other people do who are watching this. But at the same time, even if you don't want to do things exactly how I'm doing it, you can probably still take a lot from, well, I know you can take a lot from these videos, because it will, trust me, it will save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it will ensure that what you're kind of doing in regards to meal prep doesn't take for ages. Prep wise, for me, I do it once every 5 days and it takes me about half an hour to do it. Let's crack into it. I'm gonna show you guys what I use. Before I just put it into context, I usually cook 17 meals, and these are kind of like my main meals. So I'll basically cook 2 main meals that are probably like my lunch. They're equivalent to my kind of lunch and dinner for you normal folk. And then I'll also cook the meat that I have with my breakfast as well. So I basically have 2 meals that are beef and rice, and then 1 meal that is just beef. Obviously I eat other stuff as well, it's not just this.
8 o'clock in the morning I'll have fish and a rice cake. At 10 o'clock I'll have fish. At 12 o'clock I'll have fish and a rice cake.
Ingredient wise, what I have: 5 packs of beef. I go for the 5% beef because it's just better quality. I then use bolognese sauce because I'm weird like that. I have bolognese sauce with everything. And obviously what we've got is just salt, pepper, a spray. I don't really care what flavour it is. It's just to make stuff not stick to the pans, the rice cooker. That is pretty much it. So step 1, we're gonna cook the beef. So again, I'm no special cook or anything, but what I do is throw the beef in here, mash it up a little bit. But we've got the salt, pepper, and we're done. Right, while the mince is cooking, now I'm gonna start off with the rice. If you don't have a rice cooker and you cook rice, there is something seriously wrong with you. At the moment, I basically eat 100 grams of uncooked rice with my 2 main meals. So basically over the course of 5 days I eat a kilo of rice, and that's uncooked weight. So essentially what I will do, because fortunately enough for this, the maximum amount of rice you can really put in there is that amount. So my favourite rice that you will see me eat is jasmine rice. I buy it in big bags because again, if you're buying this stuff in small little bags, you're mad. And if it goes over 30-40 grams when you're cooking this much rice, it's really not a big deal. You don't have to be OCD on the fact that it's got to be bang on 1,000. As long as it's pretty much there, you're all good. So my rice is now in the rice cooker. That is cooking by itself. Again, you don't need to look at it, you don't need to watch it. You can literally just leave it on. Usually at this point, the meat is cooking, the rice is going. I will either go and do some work, message some clients. I'll sit and watch TV for 10-15 minutes while it cooks. But in this case, I'm going to talk to you guys instead. I'm just going to set you up. So one of the things, you obviously see me measure out the food. The reason why I'm measuring out the food is obviously because I have a plan to stick to, a diet plan. I specifically follow a diet plan year round. I find that for me that's better. It allows me to stay on track of things. Obviously there are 2 kind of approaches you can take with your nutrition side of things. You can either follow a diet plan and eat the same stuff every single day, which is generally the case. It might not always be every single day, but you're following basically your regimented routine of meals. The alternate kind of way of doing things is obviously just using a more of a flexible approach, using something like MyFitnessPal, eating whatever you kind of like, and just kind of aiming to hit your calorie and macro goals. I, as a coach, have clients on both of these. I think the best approach is very individual based on your goal, your relationship with food, your kind of education, knowledge, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things we can take into account here. But me personally, especially during a contest prep, I will stick to a diet plan. When we are weighing out food, when it comes to meat, it doesn't matter whether you weigh it out raw or cooked. As long as you're doing the same thing consistently, it doesn't matter. I, at the moment, am weighing my meat out in its raw form. I have 175 grams of raw 5% beef with each of my kind of main meals. And then when it comes to rice, always weigh rice out, pasta, so on and so forth. Always weigh it out in its raw form, purely because, or its uncooked form, whatever you want to call it, purely because when you cook rice, based on how much water you are cooking it in and how much water it basically absorbs, it will weigh a different amount when it's cooked. So for example, if I have a kilo of rice and weigh that out uncooked, I know that at the end it's always going to be a kilo of uncooked rice. Whereas if I weighed out when it was cooked, that kilo of uncooked rice could turn into 2.5 kilos of cooked rice. It could turn into 3 kilos of cooked rice based on how much water it's absorbed during that cooking process. So rice and carbs always weighed out in their kind of cooked form. Meat, it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with it. The way that I cook my beef so that it's kind of like moist and nice and not all like kind of dry and cardboardy is that I will cook it kind of in its own juices. I'll put like a lid of some kind over the pan so that the kind of beef cooks in its own juices. Then when it's pretty much kind of like cooked all the way through, I'll then throw in the sauce, let it kind of soak in for a few minutes, and then, you know, then it's done. So when it comes to sauces, I don't weigh them out because I will use the same sauce for every single meal from now until the end of my prep. Been using the same kind of sauce for the last few years, so another kind of year of prep really ain't gonna make any difference. So I don't weigh it out and track it. The only time I would suggest tracking your sauces is if A, you use different sauces all the time, or B, you're maybe in the depths of a dieting phase, and then it becomes a little bit more important if you're adding kind of like an extra 50 calories to kind of each meal or not. At this point, I'm eating so much food, it doesn't actually make any difference. So yeah, gonna add this in. I'll basically use 2 or 3 lots of this for all my meals across the week. So if we look at it calorie wise, in each pot there is 500 grams. That is roughly about 200 calories per pot. So between 400 to 600 calories extra across all of my meals across the week really isn't a big deal. So you're probably thinking, Jake, what the hell is in that box you just brought in? Well, let me show you. And inside here, we basically have many 1 litre prep pots. So in the boxes you just saw, there is basically 750 1 litre food prep containers. I buy these in bulk. It just happened that they came today, the day that I was meant to be kind of filming this. The last time I bought these was several months ago and used them all throughout my off season. I cannot believe that I didn't do this earlier. I only started doing this probably about 6 months ago. Basically spent 70-80 quid buying bulk prep containers that are disposable, obviously on eBay. Cost like 10p per container. This is basically what I put my food into, which I'll show you in a moment. But it basically means that I don't have to do any kind of like washing up or worrying about like, you know, do I have enough prep containers for the next week? I've always got prep containers. These will last me, I think I worked out like 280 days, so it will last me pretty much like a year. The entirety of my prep, I now have food prep containers. The meat has been cooked, I've left it to cool down, so that's nice and ready to be prepped now. The rice is done, which is over here that you can't see. The rice is done, again, just leaving that to cool down. And then essentially we're going to, if you can see, gonna pot it up in the pots over there. Vegetable wise, obviously, eat your greens, guys, it is important. I use these, they're frozen vegetables. I will mix up a little bit every now and again, but at the moment I'm using these Italian style frozen vegetables. Not just any frozen vegetables, these ones are posh ones, but I'll use those. I don't track my vegetables because I eat the same kind of vegetables and quantities and stuff every single week throughout the off season, throughout prep, it doesn't change. So I don't track my vegetables, I will just put them in my pots kind of after I've prepped my meals up. So because we are obviously adding sauce to the meat when it's being cooked, again, what you could do is literally just eyeball it, and in the off season that's what I'll do. I'll eyeball it, I'll just throw it into the pots, and if there's like a little bit more in one pot than the other, it doesn't actually make any difference because over the course of the 5 days, you're still going to be eating that 2.5 kilos of meat. It just means that some days you might have a little bit more than others. During prep, I like to keep things a little bit more consistent, just to kind of, just so I know, like weight-wise, it's not going to be kind of affected by having a little bit more food one day to another. So what I'll do is I'll pour it all in this pot, I'll weigh it out so I know exactly kind of how much it weighs now, and then I'll simply divide that by the number of meals that we need. And as you can see, that is all of the beef, and we have just over 2.5 kilos. So it's pretty much the same, it's just about 150 grams different. So if we divide that number, 2,650 by 14, it is 190 grams of that per pot, as opposed to 175 grams. So basically we've just got, within that 190 grams, there will be 175 or about 178 grams of actual beef, and the rest of it, so the extra kind of like 10 grams, will be source weight, basically. I will then do the same thing with the rice that we've got over here. I will weigh that out, see how much it weighs, and then divide it by 10, because obviously we know we've got a kilo of rice, of actual uncooked rice within that pot. So I'll divide it by 10, whatever it weighs, divide it by 10, and then obviously stick that again in the pot. I'll fast forward to the food being ready so you can actually see what it looks like. Okay, so bear in mind that I make an absolute ton of mess when like prepping meals and getting it all set up, but here is the end result. It's not gonna look pretty, but these are my meals. And then I'll simply lay my meals out in my fridge like this. So basically each row is a day of food. The back there, I've got my 2 rice and kind of like main meals, which have got obviously veg, rice and beef in. And then in front of it, I've just got my breakfast meal, which I will show you in the next video that I'll be uploading. Right, so I was gonna say, hopefully you enjoyed the video, but again, it's just me prepping my food. So hopefully you could take something from this video in one way, shape or another. I'll come out of all sorts of random shit while putting these videos out. But hopefully you enjoyed these videos, and hopefully you could take something from it. I'm gonna clean up all this mess now, and then obviously got my last meal. I'm gonna go to bed. Tomorrow I'll be filming the full day of eating video, which is gonna run through my full day of eating on a training day. So you'll be able to see kind of step by step exactly what I'm eating throughout the day, when, why, and all the details around nutrition. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, any questions that anyone has, feel free to drop the comment down below. Again, I'll be answering any questions or any kind of direct messages that you want to send me. Feel free to do so via Instagram, which again is down below in the kind of like bio. Appreciate the support, guys. Obviously, feel free to share it if you think that, you know, this could be helpful for someone that you know. Again, when I get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will be doing some sort of giveaway for those who I've noticed share my video and obviously show support on the channel over the course of the upcoming weeks. So when we get to 1,000 followers, whoever has supported this channel to get there, I will be doing a big giveaway. Aside from that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.